Hello friends, welcome back to the third episode of the Boeing 777 tutorial series. In the last episode, we have done the CDU pre-flight and preliminary pre-flight procedure, entered our route into the FMC, calculated our performance, and started boarding. Actually, our passengers are boarded now. I am recording this on a different date, so some of the routing information is changed, but the principles of what we need to do to get the aircraft ready to leave the gate for pushback hasn't changed. I'm again still using the Beyond ATC. We have requested the departure clearance, and we are now waiting to request the pushback and engine start clearance from the ground. Anyway, thanks again for joining with me today, and I will see you in the cockpit very shortly. Welcome to the flight deck of the 777 once more. We are at the current state that we left of episode 2. I tried to include everything from the last episode, even though I'm recording this on a different date, but we should be good to go from here. We have a couple things to finalize before we can request our pushback clearance, and we should be ready to go after then and leave the gate. APU is currently running. That can be confirmed with the message you see here. APU running. Our MCP is set. Our barometric pressure is set. We can arm LNAV and VNAV right now. We are clear to 7,000 feet, initially going to fly the runway heading, and then we will be expecting radar vectors from ATC. We will be still departing from runway 15 in this flight, and everything else is done. If you want to, this is gonna make the video longer, but you can bring the tablet here, pull your OFP, and you can use this to verify all of your waypoints. Just know that this is here and can be done, and this can be done by going to the route page and going to the next page and confirming that we have direct to Lasat, Alpha 242 to GTQ, November 852 to Dick, Mike 624 to Bob, Lima 608 to Donut. The other thing is we are going to fly an ETOPS route, and any ETOPS waypoints that has a coordinate like this guy here must be verified. The way you do this, I'm gonna show that for just that waypoint. You can do it for the rest of the waypoints if you are interested to do so. So the way we can do this is clear the messages, select the waypoint, init ref, index, nav data, and paste it here, and it will give us the coordinates. North 56, west 20. That checks out, and then we go to the next page, and then pretty much do this for every single waypoint we have here. Once more, init ref, index, nav data, ident, and north 58, west 30, and so on, so forth. I will keep this on the takeoff page and change the co-pilot's FMC to the legs page. So this route needs verified completely before you leave the gate and take off, so that you ensure that there are no funny waypoints, everything checks out, and you don't run into problems when you are up in the air. Other than that, we can put the terrain on captain's side, and we can use the co-pilot's navigation display to display the weather, as we still have cloud coverage. We can place the tablet back into its place, And while the APU is running, let's go ahead and check our ground operations. Ground connections, our parking brake is set, so we can disconnect the external power, release the ground power, remove the chocks, go to the vehicles, we can release all the vehicles, go to the door management, we can close all the doors now and arm the doors. If we have done this in the previous episode, I probably don't remember, so my apologies if this was already covered, but I haven't done this, so I have to do this before we leave the gate. Okay, all is done now, and we will keep the charts here. The other way, if you have Navigraph, is to go to the home page, bring the map to full size, and then zoom in, and this way you can see the taxiways of the airport. Especially if we switch to the Navigraph map here. Now as you see, here are the taxiways. So we are parked at stand 5. We will be pushing back, tail left, nose right hopefully, but there's building over here. Not really actually, we can push the tail right and nose left, or straight out push like here, and then we will use this blue line to join taxiway Alpha. Let me just unlock the location, then Bravo, and then we'll follow Bravo all the way down to runway 15. That's the expected taxi routing, and we can now take a final look at everything. All looking good. And we are pretty much ready to request pushback clearance, and then eventually request pushback from GSX. So let's contact ground and ask for pushback clearance. Basel ground, good afternoon. Swiss 64 heavy, ready for push and engine start.
Swiss 64 heavy, Basel ground, pushback approved. Face south.
The co-pilot will respond.
Pushback and engine start approved. Face south, Swiss 6 for heavy.
Alright, now it's time to ask GSX to prepare the aircraft for pushback. We should not have any ground equipment left. I think we are all good to go here. Now she's coming with the gear pin, and eventually the tug will connect and they are gonna start pushing us back. Squawk code is in the box. Transponder by default when you load into the aircraft comes at TARA, so that's incorrect. I hope PMDG fixes this state. You can also fix this by saving a different cold and dark panel state in the FMC and change it to standby, but we will move it to TIRA the moment we are done with the pushback. Aside from this, I think everything looks okay. The only thing I have not checked is the cockpit door. Did we close the cockpit door? Yes, we did. Alright, we can start the clock. That's gonna record our taxi time, and then we can reset the clock by pressing this button to start it again for our departure, so that we can record and keep a track of our flight time. Alright, all looking good here. Waiting for the pushback crew to connect the aircraft. We should be ready to go from there. So we are gonna face northwest. There is no south option like we have heard from the ATC, so we will use this. Parking brakes are released. Somehow my controller keeps disconnecting, I don't know why. That's a little bit interesting. But anyway. Alright, we are being pushed now. We are gonna wait until we cross the red line or a marker that marks where we cannot start the engines. I'm gonna take a quick peek to outside to see if there is such markers here. Maybe that's the cone, but I don't see anything else. There are no aircraft behind us, so we should be good to start the engines. We are gonna start the right engine first. To do that, we will pressurize the hydraulic system. This is usually requested from the ground crew. You pressurize the right electrical pump first. Once the fault light is extinguished, you just pressurize the other three and then turn on our fuel pumps. Take a look at the ECAS. If it says fuel in center, this is the only reason you will turn on the center fuel pumps. If there is no message, you would leave them off. Beacon light will then come on and we will start the right engine. We can immediately introduce the fuel and the engine will auto start. We will monitor the engine start. We are looking for an increase in the oil pressure. N2 is rotating, oil pressure is increasing, and we will set the parking brakes.
Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
And we will confirm the good engine start here in a little bit. Alright, looks like we have a good engine start. N2, fuel flow, oil pressure, and EGT, all checks. And the starter should disengage very shortly. Then we can start engine number 1 or the left engine. There we go. Left engine is now starting. We'll do the same thing. Introduce fuel immediately because it's an auto engine start, and monitor the engine start. So oil pressure is slowly increasing. We are waiting for light off. That's seen by the increase in the EGT. There we go. That's light off. The engine started sounding different. EGT is increasing, oil pressure is increasing, and N2 rotation is increasing. So that's a sign of a good engine start. All looking good. Now we can request GSX to disconnect the tug.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
One thing I probably forgot is the before start checklist. I was in a rush, so we'll go over that right now. Just remember to do this before you do that. And obviously I have not turned on the passenger size when I was loading the flight for the second time. MCP, it's set. Let's do it like this. V2 176, heading 152, altitude 7000. Takeoff speeds are also checked. V1 171, we rotate 174, and V2 176. CDU proof is completed. Trim, we have not set that yet. Our trim is 5.5, so we will set that by pulling the trim wheel down. It's 25.25 increments, so that's 5, 525, and 550. Trim is now set, and taxi and takeoff briefing is completed. So that completes the checklist. Sorry about forgetting on that one, but now we can. We turned on the electrical pumps. Maybe we haven't, so we will turn them on now. APU can now turn off, and we will request our taxi clearance from ATC and then eventually turn on our taxi lights. Alright. Basel ground, good afternoon, Swiss 64 heavy. Ready to taxi to active.
Swiss 64 heavy, runway 15 taxi via Sierra, Bravo.
Runway 15 taxi via Sierra, Bravo, Swiss 6 for heavy.
Okay, we are given Sierra. It should be this one, this blue one. And then Bravo, which was what we expected. So that's our takeoff clearance. We'll turn on the taxi lights and runway turn-off lights. We'll set our takeoff flaps to flaps 5. That's too much. Should be flaps 5. And auto brakes RTO. Transponder can go to TARA at this point. And before we leave, we can do a flight control check. So let's bring up the flight control display or synoptics page on our multifunction display. We will do a full back, neutral, full forward, neutral, full left, neutral, full right, neutral, left rudder, neutral, right rudder, neutral, stab trim is 5.5, rudder trim is 0, and flight control check is normal. So that's verified. We can now clear that, and now we are ready to taxi. We can complete before taxi checklist. Anti-ice is auto. You can see it over here. Recall is checked. Auto brakes are set. Flight controls are checked. Ground equipment is clear before taxi checklist completed. Now we can disengage the parking brake. Give her a break of power to start moving, and then after picking up some speed we can return it back to idle. The aircraft has a long nose, so we will try to turn the aircraft by overshooting the nose wheel. And getting back on that blue line to follow it along to take us out of here. Alright, that's good enough. We will slowly keep turning. And we are doing 4 knots. That's a little bit too slow, but be mindful because she's a big, heavy aircraft. So you might not notice, but it's better to be safe than sorry and take it slow instead of rushing it and picking up too much speed. Also not braking unnecessarily, because that's not a wanted result. Again, this blue line seems to be the incorrect one. This is like incoming, and maybe we should have done the red one instead. But while we are here, just ignore those arrows for the moment, please. So the next right should be Bravo. The way we can do this turn to make sure we are not overshooting as much is to look right once the taxi line is approaching the pillar on this window. We can then do a full tiller input to the right, and that should give us a nice turn that will maintain the runway center line for our main gears. Right now we can initiate a full right tiller input. It looks like we are on the grass, but we are not, because the nose of the aircraft is quite front than the nose gear, like 40 meters, so even if it looks like we are on the grass, we weren't, so that's fine. Alright, we'll maintain the center taxi line, and this should take us to runway 15, as you see here. It's looking nice. Beautiful. Oh, you gotta love that wing flex. Alright. Weather is a little bit better than last time, so hopefully this will be a smooth flight. And FSLT is loading some traffic, looks like. We had an aircraft spawn here. We will turn the traffic information so that our TCAS is operational. Now we left the gate and on a taxiway, we can also turn the weather radar to on. And we should pick up some weather. The other thing we can do at this point is to set our transponder to the above mode, because we are not interested in the traffic below us, as we are going to climb to our initial altitude. We can use the below mode when descending, because we will not have any interest on the aircraft above us once we are descending down to our destination. Alright, so far so good. We have just a little bit way left to reach our departure runway. If I block the view, we should be able to have a moving map. Very nice sounds. And we are almost getting ready to request our departure clearance. We obviously have to do before takeoff checklist, get the aircraft prepared for takeoff, but so far everything is going according to the plan. Beautiful. I thought about using head tracking in this video, but because I look frequently to my other screen, that would probably make you guys motion sick, and it wouldn't be an enjoyable video when you see my head turning left and right all the time, because I have to check the charts and other information I have on my other monitor to make sure I am following the flight and all the information I have on the other screen properly. We haven't checked, I believe, is the progress page. No, not the progress page, actually. Performance page. Do we have a next page? No. Minimum fuel temperature, cruise CG, nav, climb. Okay. Yeah, we will fix this later to maintain 250 below 10,000, not 240. That's, I believe, is a Boeing thing. Let's see if we can already update that. Nope. We can't, so maybe we'll do that once we are up in the air. Coming up to runway 15, after this turn, that should be our turn into the runway to use the full length of the runway for our departure. Don't think we are super heavy, but it helps. Let's clear this for now. Acceleration height is 800, thrust reduction is 1500, acceleration height is 1500. Runway wind, we could have entered that information. I'm not sure if it's part of the wind uplink that we have accepted and loaded. reference outside air temperature is 15 degrees, so we can at least plug that in. Oops, and I made a mistake. Alright, we will re-accept the takeoff speeds. Once you make any changes to the performance information, the aircraft automatically deletes the takeoff speeds. That's why we have seen that message, but all is good now. We have brought them back and nothing has changed. Just a little bit more and we will be at the runway. Huge aircraft. That's definitely a fact. Our transition altitude should be 6,000 if I remember correctly, so passing 6,000 we will switch to the standard barometric pressure. But let's get up in the air first and then we will go
Swiss 64 Heavy, contact Basel Tower 118.3.
Okay, hand off to the tower.
Over to Tower 118.3, Swiss 6 for Heavy. Bye-bye.
Our co-pilot should take care of the frequency change. Yep, and once we are at the hold short point, and in the turns slow it down to 10 miles, because 20 or about 10 is a little bit fast and she tends to overshoot the turns quite a bit. Okay, so that's the hold short point. We should stop here before making entry to the runway and complete our preparation. Let's stop here. We will correct the nose. Let's set the parking brake and let's go and bring up the before takeoff checklist. It's already complete. We can request our departure clearance. Basel Tower, good afternoon. Swiss 64 Heavy, ready for departure.
Swiss 64 Heavy above tower, wind 250 at 2, fly runway heading, runway 15 cleared for takeoff.
Fly runway heading, runway 15 cleared for takeoff, Swiss 6 for Heavy.
Beautiful. So we can turn on our landing lights and our strobes. And we should be ready to enter the runway. Let's keep turning. Intercept the center line properly. Again, we will take a look at the right. Verify that runway center line is getting close to the edge of the window pillar here. And then we will apply a full tiller to the left to align the aircraft with the runway center line. Just coming there, and you need to develop the feel for yourself. Let's do a full tiller input here, and that should get us to the center line without any issues. There we go. I'll take that. So we will hold the brakes here. We want every inch of the runway, so we will stop here and do a final check. Transponder is TARA. Everything should be correct at this point, and we are ready to go. We will increase the throttles to 55% M1 and wait the engines to stabilize. That's roughly around here. Should be 55. Release the brakes. Both engines are stable, and we'll click the click spot for toga. Below 80 knots we will apply a forward pressure on the control column to keep the nose gear on the ground to steer the aircraft. Once we are above 80 knots, there will be enough airflow to control the aircraft with the rudder. There we go. Now our hands are off from the tiller. Takeoff thrust is set, and we are controlling the aircraft's direction with applying rudder to maintain the center line. Coming up to our V1.
The 21. Rotate.
We're gonna rotate. Slowly and gently lift her off the ground. There we go. We will climb up to positive rate of climb. Gear is coming up.
36 for heavy. Contact ball departure 12 for decimal 105.
Contact basal departure 12 for decimal 105, Swiss 6 for heavy.
I am hand flying her right now. And
Basal, Swiss 6 for heavy, good day, 1,500 feet.
Swiss 6 for heavy, a ball departure identified, climb to flight level 170.
And click heading select.
Climb to flight level 170, Swiss 6 for heavy.
We are clear to 170.
Swiss 6 for heavy, turn right, heading 315.
And then we are
turn right, heading 315, Swiss 6 for heavy.
Heading 315. Trying not to rotate the heading too fast to cause a left turn. Heading 315 is set. We are climbing like about flaps 5 speed, so flaps coming up to 1. Flaps 1. And we are about 1 speed, flaps up. Okay. Everything looking good, and we can do the after takeoff checklist. Okay, after takeoff checklist. Landing gear is up, flaps are up, after takeoff checklist complete. We can go back to LNAV, VNAV now, and the aircraft will follow the routing. Very good. Beautiful. That's the takeoff. She looks beautiful. And I will keep you guys here a little bit longer, but once we are about 10,000, I will finish this episode here, and on the third one we will discuss about the cruise, optimum cruise settings, step climb for the ETOPS region, and how to prepare for descent in the next episode. We are at 7,000. Looks like our transition altitude was not where's the transition altitude? Alright, anyway, okay, we best the transition altitude, maybe it was 8,000 instead of 6. I might have remembered that incorrectly. So we switch to standard. We can turn the taxi and runway turn off lights off because our gear is now retracted, and we will momentarily turn off the landing lights passing about 10,000. We are a little bit off in the suit now. Kept the weather here as well because we don't need the terrain anymore, but we are going to clear the clouds very shortly, and the temperature is still about 10 degrees Celsius, so I don't think there will be any icing concern, even though we have the anti-ice system at auto, so if there is any risk of icing, it will take care of it. About 10,000, landing lights are coming off, and that concludes the second episode of the PMDG's 777.
All aircraft be advised information Oscar now current QNH 1018.
We are not interested in that.
Swiss 6 for heavy, cleared direct Lazet. Resume on navigation.
Clear direct Lazat. Resume own navigation. Swiss 6 for heavy.
That's the next waypoint, so we are already going direct to Lazat. I'm not gonna do a direct to at this point. I will just sync our heading bar to our current heading of 314 and say goodbye to you guys for today. Again, thanks for being here with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this third episode of this 777 tutorial series, and I will be seeing you in the next episode.